video, I'd like to talk with you about a model of the brain and what's happening to our brain in times of high stress, such as this pandemic. For this teaching, I want us to use our hand as a model of the brain. So we're going to tuck our thumb inside and have our hand like this. So this part of the hand represents our brain stem. So this is at the very base of your head, right where the spine meets the brain, meets the skull. And this is our essentially reptilian brain, sort of the oldest part of the human brain. This part in here represents the midbrain being our seat of emotions, where passion and love and frustration and sadness all sort of live and reside. And then this part of the brain is our prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is the latest thing in the brain to develop. Research is showing that it may be up to the age of 27 before this part of the brain is actually completely finished. So in a brain that's functioning properly, we have this brain stem here, and this is where everything that's automatic happens, and that includes responses to threat or danger. And there's a little part in the brain here called the amygdala, and the amygdala is our threat system, or our threat warning. It's like a little alarm that lets us know this is a threat, this is a threat. And then in here we have the big emotions that may come out. And then here we have the piece of the brain that allows us to think rationally and logically, to problem solve. This is where executive functioning happens. Now, when we're under high stress, when something is identified as a threat, essentially the prefrontal cortex goes offline. It kind of flips right up. And we are left living in this place of big emotions. For those of you who have teenagers or young children, you'll recognize this very clearly, that when that child feels a stressor, when they feel upset, there's almost no possibility of having rational, logical, problem-solving conversations. Instead, they're living in this pure emotion. Well, when we face any kind of stressor, such as this pandemic, where there really is a concern about threat of life, where there is a complete shift, a complete change in our day-to-day functioning, when we have lost the ability to just go and visit family and friends, to do the things that typically brought us joy, that helped us maybe release our stress, this part is shouting threat, threat, threat pretty consistently. And the prefrontal cortex is right offline. So you may notice that it's really difficult for you to stay in a place of logic, rational thinking, problem solving at times. You may notice that the things that you used to find fairly easy in terms of executive functioning are really difficult. You may notice, I'm losing my words, I'm losing my ability to speak, calmly and clearly with my partner or my children. I'm in this place of big emotions that I thought I knew how to manage typically. I share this with you because I really want to normalize for you what's happening right now. That in any time of a huge stressor where there is threat, the alarm system goes off, the prefrontal cortex goes offline, and we live in this place of big emotions. And again, I share that with you just to let you know if that's resonating for you and you're starting to say, oh yeah, that's exactly what's going on. So please just know that that's an understandable and really common response. I'll use the word normal, even though normal is a fairly subjective descriptor, but to know that it's really understandable if you're experiencing any of those. To also know that deep exhaustion is normal right now. We are not being able to use the parts of our brain that sort of calm us down, that keep us, on track. We are living from these big emotion places. Our reptilian brain is, pretty vigilant and shouting threat everywhere we go. So the exhaustion is understandable. Have a lot of patience with yourself, have a lot of patience with your kids and your partners. Our brains are doing the absolute best they can to figure out what is going on and what do we need to do to be well and be safe. I hope this was helpful for you. A little short glimpse into the brain, a very simple model of the brain and why most of us are feeling pretty exhausted and just not able to function the way we can because we are in a time of heightened stress. Be patient with yourself. Show yourself a lot of self-compassion, and maybe just understand that what you're experiencing is normal and you're okay. Thanks. Bye-bye.